Well, 2023, at least up until you're seeing this, has been yet another year where we have not actually gone to war with China, boots on the ground. So that's nice.
That is nice. But speaking of Event Horizon, actually, we had Christopher Balding on this year. I'm pretty sure it was this year. And he said he felt the Chinese economy has passed the Event Horizon, which is where it might be slow, as you say, but it is inevitably headed towards
I think the
collapse.
wild card here is once again how much are
Foreign direct investment.
yes, like how much is the rest of the world going to bail them out? With all the cash that they don't have.
Yeah. Well, on the bright side, like we were seeing even like Ray Dalio getting skeptical of China. These are the most diehard of diehard.
Yeah, I'll believe that when I see it. Yeah.
I mean, eventually all the Wall Street tycoons are going to get betrayed and feel betrayed. And then that probably it'll be a situation where it's like a slow pull out, and then suddenly like something will trigger like a whole bunch of Wall Street people to be like, hey, like you broke your promises and you took billions of our dollars.
A rush for the exits, you mean? Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I think we're already
It's beginning to happen.
Look, I was thinking today about that company, American Superconductor. Do you remember this? Like this thing where their wind turbines in China got completely stolen by the joint venture Chinese company they were working with. This happened they discovered it back in 2011. So this is more than a decade ago. And
No, 2011 was like 3-4 years ago, right?
yeah, okay, sure. But then 2013, they had like litigation against the Chinese company. 2018, they finally started getting like court rulings against Sinovel, the Chinese company in the US. So essentially, this company in the meantime almost went completely bankrupt. They had to lay off like 80% of their workforce. Like they were, their stock dropped to like it almost got delisted. It was just like this company barely survived. And this is a very clear example with like everything was documented and out there, even though it took years for it to all come out, right? And yet you still have these multinational companies pouring all this money into China. So
your point is that there's a lot of smart people who are stupid on Wall Street.
Or very short-term thinkers.
Yeah.
Useful idiots.
One thing that did happen this year is that more and more people started to get exit banned, or, like foreign executives in China started to get exit banned or actually arrested and things like that.
Yeah, the revised anti-espionage law is a big factor that's gotten a lot of American businesses, well, foreign businesses in general, spooked. That kind of anything that is a part of normal business can now be considered like a national security issue, and that's why you're seeing these kind of exit bans, these raids. So I think a lot of them really, really are spooked.
Yeah, so maybe that's what it takes to actually feel like your neck is on the line, and maybe when there are executives who refuse to go to China, then it'll be harder for these companies to do business.
Yeah. I mean, the way Xi Jinping is handling, like, she is in a bind, really, because China has never really had a real economy. On China Uncensored, I've called it like a financialized economy, where it's essentially what drove the economy was party elites kind of controlling the business sector and like artificially boosting. The real estate sector is a great example of this. That, there was a top official who said that, in a country of 1.4 billion people, they might have built homes for 3 billion people. Just this relentless, on the surface way to like, keep production going, keep building things. On the surface, it looked like there was economic activity, GDP was going up, and people, like all these party elite tied to these real estate sectors, they were making money. But none of it was real. It wasn't tied to any actual market demand. And now that's blowing up. And so Xi Jinping, like, he needs to break up, the term that's used is like these independent kingdoms, sort of these party elite who have created this independent kingdom of just like vast personal wealth through massive corruption. To do that, he needs to amass more personal power and more direct control over the economy, which he's trying to justify using Marxist lingo. But
it's for the people, Chris.
It's for the people. Well, also, so like, if anyone complains, it's not like, oh, I'm complaining against you, Xi Jinping. It's like you're complaining against Marxism. This is kind of the whole what everything is based on. So you can't argue against that. But in doing this, he is also very likely just going to blow everything up.
Yeah, I mean, Xi Jinping is not exactly like a sharp economic mind, but also I think the China is a place where the CCP controls everything. So the economics of the situation will always bow to the politics of the situation, right? So, even if it's economically dumb to do something, he may be forced to do it anyway.
Yeah, just to sort of rein in the party elites that have different interests, right?
But I mean, speaking of the party elites, Chris, I wonder if we're going to see a lot more capital flight next year from these, elites who have amassed all this wealth and are now just going to try even harder than before to get it out of China.
Yeah, I forget the statistic, but definitely we have already seen lots of Chinese millionaires and billionaires leaving the country, moving their wealth overseas, which is, technically illegal.
Well, because legally, the law in China is you can only move the equivalent of $50,000 out of the country per year. But there are lots of ways around that, right? So like one way, and this is probably, they've cracked down on this somewhat, is like going through Macau and like through the casinos there. We did an episode on China Uncensored on that many years ago. But there's also other things like you could put your money in crypto, even though technically that's illegal, but people still do it. Or you could put your money in like fine art, buy a painting, ship it overseas and resell it, There's all sorts of things that you can, the more money you have, the more access you have to money laundering. So like the people this really hurts the most are people who are like upper middle class and want to leave, but they don't have the resources to actually leave.
Yeah. Well, I think that is a big reason why the party's grip is kind of beginning to crumble, because this sort of middle and upper middle class has been suffering a lot more, definitely under zero COVID, where, it didn't matter if you were an elite in Shanghai, you were also locked down. And yeah, these economic troubles are going to start to affect them as well.
We'll see what happens in 2024, but as you point out, it could be a slow burn and a lot of cover-ups that we just won't know for a long time.
No, but I think essentially, will people wise up enough to not be pouring all this money into China, or will the CCP be able to kind of cover it up enough in different ways so that if you're only looking at, GDP or something, or if you're only looking at something that's easily faked, or, something that they can move things around to make it look like, oh, okay, well, this financial sector is fine, like, imports, exports, trade is going great, then you may not get a true view of exactly how bad the economic situation is.
Right. And part of it is that when it comes to foreign direct investment, like if China's economy seems to be doing well, they will maintain foreign direct investment. But as foreign direct investment pulls out, the economy will get worse, and then foreign direct investment will pull out, which makes the economy worse, and then foreign direct investment will pull out even more, which makes the economy worse. So they have to stem that tide before it reaches a critical point. But can they do it? I don't know.
I'm just so distracted by the word pull out. The middle schooler in me is trying not to snicker.
Oh, wow, Chris.
Wow. Okay, we are tired today. We've almost made it, guys, to, the
end of the year.
It's the end of the year. Yep.